कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की, श्री श्री प्रहलाद नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, श्री निताई गौर सुंदर की, पतित पावन शिला प्रभुपाद की। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Sri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharaj Nitai Gaur Sundar Narsingh Devande Bhaktalaad Maharaj ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtapraye Swabhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Granth Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, entitled as Dhruva Maharaja Leaves Home, text number 27 onwards. Narada Uvacha Nadunapi Avamanam Te Samanam Vapi Putraka Lakshyaamaha Kumarasya Saktasya Kiranadisu. The great sage Narada told Dhruva, "My dear boy, you are only a little boy, whose attachment is to support and to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words of insulting your home, your honor?" Once again, the great sage Narada told Dhruva, "My dear boy, you are only a little boy whose attachment is to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words insulting your honor?" Purport: ordinarily, if a child is rebuked as a rascal or fool, he smiles and does not take such insulting words very seriously. Similarly, if words of honor are offered, he does not appreciate them. But in case of Dhruva Maharaja, the Kshatriya spirit was so strong that he could not tolerate a slight insult from his stepmother, which injured his Kshatriya prestige. विकल्पे विद्यमाने अपि नहि असन्तोष हेतवः पुंसो मोहं ऋते भिन्ना यल्लोके निज कर्मभिः. My dear Dhruva, if you feel that your sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of illusory energy. Every living entity is controlled by his previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering. In the Vedas, it is said that the living entity is always uncontaminated and unaffected by material association. The living entity gets different types of material bodies because of his previous fruitive actions. If, however, one understands the philosophy that a living spirit soul, he has an affinity for neither suffering nor enjoyment, then he is considered to be liberated person. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma. When one is actually situated on the transcendental platform, he has nothing for which to lament or nothing for which to hanker. Narada Rishi first of all wanted to impress upon Dhruva Maharaja that he was only a child. He should not have been affected by words of insult or honor, and if he were so developed as to understand honor and insult, then this understanding should have been applied in his own life. He should have known that honor and dishonor are both destined only by one's previous actions. Therefore, one should not be sorry or happy under any circumstances. Paritusyai tatastat tavan matena purushaha daivopasaditam yadvikshye swargatim buddha. The process of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very wonderful. One who is intelligent should accept that process and be satisfied with whatever comes, favorable or unfavorable, by his supreme will. The great sage Narada instructed Dhruva Maharaja that one should be satisfied in all circumstances. Everyone who is intelligent should know that because of a concept of bodily existence, we are subjected to suffering and enjoyment. One who is in transcendental position beyond the concept of bodily life is considered to be intelligent. One who is a devotee especially accepts all reverses as gifts of the Supreme Lord. When a devotee is put into distress, he accepts this is a God's mercy and offers him repeated obeisances with his body, mind, and intellect. An intelligent person, therefore, should be always satisfied depending on the mercy of the Lord. अत मात्र यत मात्रो मात्रोपदिष्टेन योगेनावृत्तसि यत्प्रसादं स वै पुंसां दुराद्यो मतो मम. Translation. Now you have decided to undertake the mystic process of meditation under the instructions of your mother just to achieve the mercy of the Lord, but in my opinion such austerities are not possible for any ordinary man. It's very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The process of Bhakti Yoga is simultaneously very difficult and very easy to perform. Sri Narada Muni, the Supreme Spiritual Master, is testing Dhruva Maharaja to see how determined he is to prosecute devotional service. This is the process of accepting a disciple. The great sage Narada has come to Dhruva Maharaja under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to initiate him. Yet he is testing Dhruva's determination to execute the process. It's a fact, however, that for a sincere person devotional service is very easy, but for one who is not determined and sincere, this process is very difficult. Munaya padavim yasya nihasangeno rujanmabhi navidurmigyanto api tivra yoga samadhina. Narada Muni continued, after trying this process for many births and remaining attached to material contaminations, placing themselves continually in trance and executing many types of austerities, many mystic yogis were unable to find the end of the path of God realization. Ato nirvartamesha nirbandhastav nisphala yatisyati bhavan kale sriyasam samupastite. For this reason, my dear boy, you should not endeavor for this. It will not be successful. It's better that you go home. When you are grown up, by the mercy of Lord, you will get a chance for these mystic performances. At that time, you may execute this function. Generally, a thoroughly trained person takes to a spiritual perfection at the end of his life. According to the Vedic system, therefore, life is divided into 4 stages. In the beginning, one becomes a brahmachari, a student who studies Vedic knowledge under the authoritative guidance of a spiritual master. He then becomes a householder and executes householder duties according to the Vedic process. Then the householder becomes a vanaprastha, and gradually, when he is a mature, he renounces household life and vanaprastha life also and takes to sannyasa, completely devoting himself to devotional service. Generally, people think that childhood is meant for enjoying life by engaging oneself in sports and play. Youth is meant for enjoying the company of young girls, and when one becomes old at the time of death, then he may try to execute devotional service or a mystic yoga process. But this conclusion is not for devotees who are actually serious. The great sage Narada instructing Dhruva Maharaja just to test him. Actually, the direct order is that from any point of life, one should begin rendering devotional service. But it is the duty of a spiritual master to test the disciple to see how seriously he desires to execute devotional service, then he may be initiated. Yasya yada daiva vihitam satena sukha dukhayo atmanam tosayam dehi tamasaha param rikshati. One should try to keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered by the Supreme Will. A person who endures in this way is able to cross over the darkness of nescience very easily. Purport. Material existence consists of pious and impious fruitive activities. As long as one is engaged in any kind of activity other than devotional service, it will result in happiness and distress of this material world. When we enjoy life in so-called material happiness, it is to be understood that we are diminishing the resultant action of our pious activities. And when we are put into suffering, it is to be understood that we are diminishing the resultant actions of our impious activities. Instead of being attached to the circumstantial happiness and distress resulting from pious or impious activities, if we want to get out of clutches of these nescience, then whatever position we are put in by the will of the Lord, we should accept. Thus, if we simply surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we shall get out of the clutches of this material existence. गुणाधिकं मूदं लिप्सेद अनुक्रोशं गुणाधमात् मैत्रीं समानाद् अन्वीक्षेण न तापिरभिभूयते. Everyone should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. And when he meets someone equal to him, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. Generally, when we find someone more qualified than ourselves, we become envious of him. When we find someone less qualified, we deride him. And when we find someone equal with him, very proud of our activities. We become very proud of our activities. These are the causes of all material tribulations. The great sage Narada therefore advised that a devotee should act perfectly. Instead of being envious of more qualified men, one should be jolly to receive him. Instead of being oppressive to less qualified men, one should be compassionate toward him, just to raise him to the proper standard. And when one meets an equal, instead of being proud of one's own activities before him, one should treat him as friend. One should also have compassion for the people in general who are suffering due to the forgetfulness of Krishna. These important functions will make one happy within this material world. Om Tat Sat Om Ajnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmiltam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langyayate Girim Yadkipatamaham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Nata Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Dhruva Charitram is very, very important for all of us. We can see that how even a small boy is being facilitated to go back to Godhead. We see that how Dhruva Maharaja is being rebuked by his stepmother, and then he becomes very much affected, and then he goes to his mother. His mother is inspired to instruct him to go and find out Narayana. Both his mother, they talks about this, and then he's very serious, and then he goes to forest to search Narayana. He leaves home. There Lord again sends Narada Muni to further help him. And Narada Muni, it's mentioned he has come under the directions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is now testing Dhruva Maharaja. Narada Muni is not, he does not giving him actually the real instruction. He just first wants to test. And what he is testing? The test is how serious and determined Dhruva Maharaja is to practice Krishna consciousness. This is the test. How determined and serious he is to practice Krishna consciousness. So, Narad Muni is telling, first sloka is telling that you are a little boy. Why you take it so seriously if somebody is scolding you? Little boy, small boys, if somebody they are scolded or they praised, or they should not take it very seriously. Why it's affecting you? After all, you are a boy. Why you are taking it so seriously? First thing is he says this. Lots of arguments he gives to Dhruva Maharaja. And if he sees that okay, you are very mature, your sense of honor has been insulted, means then still you should not become so disturbed, because people who are looking for liberation, they are not depressed by this happiness or distress. It's exactly telling, my dear Dhruva, if you feel that your sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of the illusory energy. Every living entity is controlled by its previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering. So uh, is basically telling that you are so much angry upon your mothers, and you are feeling so much disrespected, but we should understand that this is all because of our previous activities, resultant action of our previous activities, and you should not be very dissatisfied. The process of Supreme Personality of Godhead is very wonderful. One who is intelligent should accept that process and be satisfied with whatever comes, favorable or unfavorable, by his supreme will. So basically, because Dhruv Maharaja is actually very dissatisfied, very agitated. So he is trying to bring down his dissatisfaction. He is telling, no, don't be dissatisfied. You should be prepared to accept whatever good or bad is coming according to your own karma, past karma. So why you are worrying? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is sending this. It's a very wonderful way that one person is suffering and after some time is enjoying. Don't be dissatisfied. Now you have decided to undertake mystic process, and then further is discouraging him. That first thing he told you, a small boy should not be affected by honor, dishonor. Then he's telling that people who are serious about the liberation, they are not dissatisfied with all distress, or very elated when happiness is there. They are on liberated stage. And then he is telling that further is discouraging him by saying that this process which you have taken under the advice of your mother to come to forest to perform dhyana yoga, mystic yoga, is very, very difficult. And he is saying that how difficult it is, saying, now you have decided to undertake the mystic process of meditation under the instruction of your mother just to achieve the mercy of the Lord, but in my opinion such austerities are not possible for any ordinary man. It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is very difficult. Narad Muni continued, after trying this process for many, many births and remaining unattached to material contamination, placing themselves continually in trance and executing many types of austerities, many mystic yogis were unable to find the end of the path of God realizations. So actually this is fact. Takes many, many lives, and it's not so easy to find the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By this process of mystic yoga is very difficult. It's not so easy. In Brahma Samhita also it is mentioned that Pantastukoti Satavatsa Sampragamyo Vayo Rathapi Munaso Munipungavanam So Apyasti Yat Prapatsimni Avichintya Tatve Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Even people, all mystic yogis, they try with the speed of mind, speed of wind, and for so many births, but still the Lord remains inconceivable for them, life after life. It's not so easy to get the attention of the Lord. It's very difficult. Lord Brahma also says some same thing. Here also it's been said same thing. It's not easy to find out the Lord. We see that many times, many lifetimes, jnanis they will speculate, and many lifetimes yogis they will be engaged in performing meditation, but still they don't get the object of meditation, or the object of speculation. They don't not able to realize the Brahman, or get the supreme super soul, the chief super soul. Very difficult. So he's telling you are merely a boy, and it's very, very difficult process. Again he's discouraging. For this reason, he's telling that you go home. Now he's trying to allure him. He's telling, when you are grown up, you will automatically get some chance, and you can perform this mystic yoga easily. That time you should do this. And then he's telling, is giving him knowledge. He's telling that no, you should not be very envious when you are No, should not become very envious and angry with your mothers. They are superiors. You should not become proud with the equals, and you should not. You should be compassionate on your juniors. You should try to help them in progress in Krishna consciousness. Be compassionate upon them. And when you are situated in this, then you can actually be happy in this material world. So the basically is telling to change his attitude. It's telling don't be like this, because for now this region you are angry, for tomorrow some other regions will come, you will become further disturbed. So this will keep on going. This will keep on going. Basically you need to change inside. So it's telling, it's a very nice instructions he's giving. Actually in our life also we see we go through so lot of challenges, difficulties, but we apply in these principles, we can actually be more peaceful. Studying whenever meet some seniors, you should not become envy. Should be very jolly to receive them, to give respects to them. Whenever you meet some person who is less qualified, you should feel that how you can help him to advance. And then if you meet some equal, don't become proud. Just start boosting your own activities. You should rather try to develop friendship with him. So these are all wonderful instructions he is giving. Actually this is not his intention that Dhruva Maharaj should listen to these instructions. What he wants to check, that how serious and determined he is in Krishna consciousness, to advance in Krishna consciousness. So this is very important. Prabhupada is telling here that Krishna consciousness is both very simple and very difficult process. Same time is simple and difficult. How it is? If a person is serious and determined, for him it is very easy. But person is not serious and determined, it becomes very difficult. How we can understand this? How this things is for both difficult and easy. We say, take example of fasting. We are fasting on Ekadasi Vrata. If we have determined that we are not going to eat, then it becomes very easy. The fasting becomes very easy if we are determined. Anyway, I am not going to eat. Then we will just engage in some other activities in Krishna consciousness and will keep on going. We are not bothered or thinking about eating. But if we are not, our determination is not resolute. We are thinking, no, okay, let us see how long I can fast. And then only real troubles will start. We can see the whole day becomes very difficult to stretch. So this, if we are determined, then things are easier. Similarly, for practicing brahmacharya, if we are determined that we remain unmarried, we are not going to associate with opposite sex, then it becomes very easy. But if there is some doubt or we are not fixed, then we see that it becomes very, very challenging and becomes uncontrolled. So Krishna consciousness is easy for people who are determined to actually find out Krishna. For them it becomes easy. The determination plays a big role. So this what is being tested for Dhruva Maharaj. What is the use of telling all this, initiating a person who is not very serious? Waste of time for him also, for me also. I initiate him and then I'll take all his karma and then worry about him. I have to take added responsibility of him and he is not very serious. So why I should do? And on the other hand, if he is not very determined and serious, why he should struggle unnecessarily? At least let him go and enjoy materially. He will go into forest and struggle and become more tough for him. So this is the actually reason why he is testing him. That how serious Dhruva Maharaj is to this thing. Actually, Narad Muni, he has a feeling that this boy is not an ordinary boy. Is surely something special in him, because Narad Muni is inspired by the Lord directly to come to him. So therefore he must be there's something special in him. So he wants to find out. and he is purposefully testing him. Let's see what is his response, and we see that how Dhruva Maharaja will respond. All these wonderful instructions which immediately will appeal to anyone. 1, 2, 3, 4. All these instructions are very good actually. It's telling you a small boy, you should not take honor, dishonor. Correctly you are saying. Then if you are thinking you are mature, you want to get liberated, still you should not become distressed, depressed. You should be equipoised. This is also very good. And then he's telling, no, this is not the age. You should go and play and live your life. At the later you'll get opportunity to do this nicely. That time you come. No, you're not prepared. If you're not prepared, you write the exam, you'll fail. So this is not the time. You go and come there. This also very nice. Seems to be very nice instructions. Then he's telling that no, you should change your attitude. Otherwise, this is one incident. In throughout your life, you will find such things will happen. So basically, your attitude need to be changed. This is also very appealing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things is very smartly presenting. Anybody will fall in the trap. But we see this small boy Dhruva Maharaj doesn't fall into trap of this. Our mind also works like this. Whenever we start, say example fasting, the mind will say, oh, yesterday was also very difficult, you are becoming weak, it's not very good. Then so some other reasons will come. That also will be very nice reasons. I'm not able to immediately strike, but many reasons come, say, oh, fall sick means who will do the service. Then lot of things, reasons one after another will come. And then at one point of time we will fall trap when we are not determined. Dhruva Maharaj, though is a small boy, and this is all very good argument, he doesn't get affected because he is very determined. As a Kshatriya, you are very determined that this insult is, I have been insulted and I can only see that I have to get better position than my great grandfather. There is no other thoughts in his mind. That was a special characteristics of Dhruva Maharaj. Doesn't happen to any ordinary person like that. It's all determination also because of his maybe pious activities in past lives. That determination is there inside him. That he is determined from beginning itself. Now I will find out Narayana and I'll get a better position than great grandfather. This is what is a Kshatriya spirit. For them, there is no defeat. For Kshatriyas, there is no defeat. Why there is no defeat for him? They don't know. Either they are victorious or they are dead on battlefield. So there is no defeat for them. Victorious means victorious, dead means what is there. Now everything is closed, chapter is closed. So they don't know this word. They are very determined to when even matter of fighting. So this is the Kshatriya spirit. So you see that this is Dhruva Maharaj is being tested. Similarly, the test comes in our life also. So we should place our determination very rightly. And how determination will take place? Determination will take place when we follow the 4 regulative principles. If we break the 4 regulative principles, we see that we become very, very weak in our determination. So what are these 4 regulative principles? No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. So when we are strictly following these 4 regulative principles, then we see that we grow in our determination. And this is very important, as we saw just now. If we are not determined, then Krishna consciousness becomes very difficult. And if we are determined, it becomes very easy. So how this determination comes? When we sincerely follow these 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. And if we little bit try to break here and there, adjust, and we see that our determination will fall, and then we will try to adjust things in Krishna consciousness, and slowly we will be off track. So And another instruction is that is telling the great sage Narada instructed Dhruva Maharaj that one should be satisfied in all circumstances. Everyone who is intelligent should know that because of our concept of bodily existence, we are subject to suffering and enjoyment. One who is in the transcendental position beyond the concept of bodily life is considered to be intelligent. One who is a devotee especially accepts all reverses as gifts of the Supreme Lord. When a devotee is put into distress, he accepts this as God's mercy and offers him repeated obeisances with his body, mind, and intellect. An intelligent person, therefore, should be always satisfied depending on the mercy of the Lord. So, this satisfaction is very, very important. Satisfaction. If a person is satisfied, he will be happy. If he is not satisfied, even if he gets all the wealth of the world, he will be still hankering. He will not be satisfied. Even a small poor person is satisfied, we see that he is very happy. So when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, is very important. One thing is determination, another thing is satisfaction also. We should be satisfied. And this, how this satisfaction comes? When we really become satisfied, when we depend on the mercy of the Lord. So Prabhupada is telling that if reverses comes, that is mercy of the Lord. If success comes, that is again mercy of the Lord. So one is able to see the hands of the Lord in his life, and he remains satisfied. If a person is poor and is not able to earn more, he somehow he is meeting his daily requirement, but he is dependent on the Lord, then he will think that this is by the Lord's mercy that I have got something today. He will not be actually feeling depressed. So it's very important to see hands of the Lord and remain satisfied. This is art of being happy, to remain satisfied. Actually it is true only. The Lord is maintaining all the living entities, including a small ant to a big elephant. Everybody is being fed and maintained by the Lord. So the Lord is providing for everybody, and especially for his devotees. Krishna is telling Yogakshemam Bahamiham. I personally supply for him what he doesn't have and preserve what he has. So person who is practicing Krishna consciousness, he understands this very well, that I have been put into this reverse situations by great mercy of the Lord, because he is interested in me, so that I doesn't become unnecessarily attached or attracted towards material things. Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Tit Pastor Pupad ki jai, Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai. So Krishna gives him intelligence to understand this, that my enemies are my senses and my mind, and these are all uncontrollable, and Krishna has put me into these situations, just to protect me from all these things, all of them. So by understanding, by depending on the mercy of the Lord, he remains satisfied in all the circumstances. So this is one of the things told to Dhruva Maharaja. And this also seems very good instructions, but we see that Dhruva Maharaja is not going to fall trap on these things, because his determination is to search the Narayana. So even though Dhruva Maharaja wants to see the Lord for material reasons, he is being appreciated here. His goal is material, that he wants to get a great grandfather, but the process to search the Lord, to go to the Lord, is transcendental. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kamudadadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajet purusham param. Whatever desires people have, or they are free of the desires, one should approach to Supreme Personality of Godhead, because while doing so, one actually meets with purpose of his life. So when we are going towards Narayana, that we see that ultimately will be benefited. So here Dhruva Maharaja, though he has material purpose, but he is approaching for the Lord, and Narada Muni says that that's what everyone should do. One should search out the Lord, find out the Lord, because when we are doing so, we'll become purified from all our material contamination, and we'll go back to Godhead. Because once we see the Lord, then our material existence will cease. So that's what is Dhruva Maharaja's, though is a material purpose, but still he is searching the Lord. So he is praised. On the other hand, we see there are people who are very religious and spiritual, but instead of worshipping the Lord, they will on the side they will worship demigods also. So actually that won't help. We have to be fixed, pinpointed, just to go towards the Lord. If we just try to, that shows that we are not, our faith is not formed. We are actually doubtful. Neither we are faithful to demigods nor the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are thinking that okay, this works, then this, if this doesn't work, this will work. So here we see that Dhruva Maharaj is because of his previous pious activities, is so much determined and so much fixed, and is being properly guided by his mothers, and then he is properly further guided by Narada Muni, and then he is very determined and serious, so he is very easily able to practice Krishna consciousness. It's like on highway, which the great yogis and jnanis after many lives they are not able to get. Within 6 months, being a small child, just 5 years old, he gets to see the Lord. Just 5 or 6 months it takes for him. The Lord himself comes to see him. So how much determined or serious we are, our success depends upon that. And Prabhupada's one devotee asked how much time it takes to become Krishna conscious. Then Prabhupada says, you're not reading Bhagavad Gita? He says, 1 second, 1 moment, 1 moment, and then he quoted, Sarvadhamman Parityajya Mam Ekam Saranam Praja Aham Tvam Sarva Papyobhyo Mokshasyami Smasucha. So instantly when we surrender to the Lord, instantly we become Krishna conscious. Instantly. Dhruva Maharaj took 6 months time, but the Prabhupada is telling instantly will become Krishna conscious. If it just is matter of surrendering, but this surrender doesn't come instantly. Slowly only we try to surrender. We see that how Vaman Deva pushed Bali Maharaj to surrender. This was a special mercy on Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj also immediately did not surrender. But it was mercy of the Lord. He pushed him he cornered him so much that he had no other option than to surrender to the Lord. And very intelligently, he also very intelligently surrenders to the Lord. So slowly we also slowly we surrender, and therefore we take little time. But then we should keep on progressing in Krishna consciousness. Step by step doesn't matter, but we should advance in Krishna consciousness. You see that Dhruva Maharaja, by seeing Dhruva Maharaja, that he was able to meet success in his life, the devotees get inspiration. Okay, if Dhruva Maharaja can get to meet the Lord, surely I'll also one day meet the Lord. So we see that example, then we follow them. Like we see great devotees in our movement practicing Krishna consciousness, getting purified to such an extent, and the quitting body they are remembering the Lord. Throughout they are being engaged in service of the Lord. So we get actually inspired. Similarly, all these pastimes of the great devotees actually gives us inspiration to practice Krishna consciousness. Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Patit Pawan Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.